Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World Championship Series Global Finals. It's Grand Finals time. We'll be bringing you all the action from the final of StarCraft 2 with $100,000 going to the winner in a few moments' time. First, let's check in with our bracket from the round of 16 all the way to the Grand Final. You can see the road through this graphic that Jaedong has taken all the way to the final and that SoS has taken all the way to the final as well. Ladies and gentlemen, two fantastic players throughout the weekend and throughout the last 2 days, going through that bracket brilliantly. So, head to head, it's Jaedong versus SoS. It's Zerg versus Protoss. Let's take a look at the matchup between the two players. As you can see, SoS ranked 12 in the world from the WCS rankings. Versus Zerg, 67%, very nice, very good. And Lee Jaedong from Evil Geniuses in South Korea, ranked number 3 in the WCS rankings from 2013. And versus Protoss, a very useful 62% as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our grand final will start very shortly, but first, let's get the predictions from our panel of experts with DJ Wee.
Thank you, Paul. Finally, it is time. We started with 3 seasons, 3 regions. We got down to 16 players. They battled it over the course of yesterday, and then today, the semifinals. Leading up to the finals, it's SoS taking on Jaedong for $100,000 in the title of WCS Global Champion. Gentlemen, I'm very excited to hear what you have to say about this. SoS, he defeated Hero, Polt, and Bomber on his way here. Jaedong, MVP, Deer, and Maru. Who wants to take it first?
Oh, dude, we got to throw down some facts right out the gate. By being in the finals, Jaedong is officially the most successful pro gamer in history across all games. The #1 spot is his, dethroning Fatality, who has been in that spot since the dawn of time. Yeah. Also, both players in season 1 and 2 went 0-4 in their grand finals appearance. SoS 0-4 to Innovation, Jaedong 0-4 to Bomber. So whoever wins game 1, it's actually their first win in a grand final scenario. And most importantly, Jaedong has gotten 4 second place finishes this year, is looking not to get to 5. He just wants to do 1 place better than season 2. Yeah.
Jeff and Todd?
I mean, this final, the energy's electric. It's standing room only. There's people milling about. This is what I was born to do. I'm so excited. StarCraft has risen to this point where I don't know if I've ever been a part of a better production, of a better show. Personally speaking, obviously Jaedong's my boy. I walked into that first booth when he took 2nd place at DreamHack, and he had tears streaming out of his eyes because he wanted it so bad. And it was at that moment that I saw him, and I knew that he was perhaps the most special player that I've ever encountered in my entire life. And to see that emotion generated here, to see him with yet another chance to reach up and grab that star, I'm gonna cry like a frickin' baby if he does or if he doesn't. So let's just keep the camera off of me.
Yeah. Todd in Rotterdam, I want to hear from you as well. Let's start with you, Todd.
I did not expect either of these players to make it to the finals. I know Rotti predicted SoS to win the whole thing, but looking at this match here, it's crazy that these two, they beat all the people that they beat, and now they're going to be playing each other. Also, Dana mentioned it, they both lost 0-4 before in the grand finals. For Jaedong, it actually happened twice. Once versus Bomber, once versus Bolt. So those were Terrence. He's doing a lot better versus Protoss. This is a very interesting matchup, stylistically as well. And I'm just so excited. I cannot wait to get those games started and take a first look at what these players do.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up what Roddy said, you know, that he had chosen SoS from the get, because I'm sure he's not only feeling great that he made the prediction early on and is almost there, but you said Jaedong's playing out of his mind. And if he brings that same game, Rotterdam, are you still comfortable with your prediction?
Then I'm not sure, because what I just saw Jaedong do in that last map on Frost, that's the best I've seen a Zerg play almost ever. It's the first time I've really seen Jaedong. Like, Jaedong has beaten so many good players already this year, and to make it to so many finals, obviously that was not coincidence or luck, but I always just felt like the wins were good, sometimes impressive, but never like absolutely amazing, unforgettable, and that's almost what I felt in the last game, despite being good early on. But I don't know, I'm super excited for these finals. I'm a big SoS fan. I used to be a really big fan of Rain, and I still am, but I felt back then Rain and SoS were the Protoss players. That's why you stayed up at night. That's why you wanted to watch the Pro League. And SoS has always had this crazy style. We always thought you need Colossus in this matchup. And Rain is like, no, I'm just going to do everything else than Colossus. Even when I can and have 2 robos, I will refuse to make Colossus. And
double observer production.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, sorry to interrupt, Sean, but the players are ready. Let's throw it to the main stage and introduce our 2 finalists.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Blizzcon 2013 for the World Championship Series Global Finals Grand Final. Please make some noise for the finalists, SoS and Jaedong! And as the players get settled, it's time to go over to our commentary team. We've got something very, very special for you indeed. Gents, the stage is all yours.
What's up, guys? I'm Tasteless, with me is Artosis and Apollo. We're going to be doing a 3-way cast here for the very first time ever here at the WCS Global Finals here at Blizzcon 2013.
This is going to be a lot of fun. These are the 2 nerds that I like to cast with. And this is the type of storyline that I want to see in any tournament.
This is going to be one final to remember. This is the biggest StarCraft 2 tournament of all time, and we will have a champion very, very soon.
So going into this, what do you guys think? Who's going to win this? I'm going with Jaedong. I don't think this guy can be stopped. He just looks too good.
There's no way that he's going to be stopped at this point. Okay, we've said that how many times now, Paul? How many second places does Jaedong have?
We have casted him so much this year. Jaedong has been waiting. He's been patient. This is meant to be the one.
But you know, if SoS manages to take him out, I mean, what does that say about him? This guy is a powerhouse. He's fairly new in comparison to somebody like Jaedong. I mean, Jaedong is legendary. If that were to happen, that would change everything. You know, we saw Parting dominate last year. What if SoS can do it again here?
You know, maybe he can. He's so strong. He's been playing so well. But if you look at the players that Jaedong has gone through to get here, and you look at just how badly he needs his first tournament win, I see no other result than Jaedong taking this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really incredible thing. We've gone through an entire year now, watching these players develop, watching them grow, seeing the upsets, and now within an hour or a few hours, we're going to crown a champion. I mean, WCS is changing the way StarCraft esports is in an incredible way.
This has been, I'd like to say in StarCraft 2, the best year we've ever had. This has been an amazing year. The story from the beginning season where we saw SoS play so well, and then through Season 2 and Season 3 where Jaedong got better and stronger each season. This is just the ultimate finale to the best year we've had.
It truly is. And let's take a look at this guy, SoS. As you said, Apollo, he was doing so fantastically at the beginning of the WCS season, at the beginning of this year, but he kind of fell off a little bit.
Yeah, he really did. You know, his play style is very particular. He's a really sneaky player. He does not strike me, although we don't, you know, when we look at someone like Jaedong, there's so much information to pull, you know, because there's so much history there, but SoS has never struck me as somebody who's really nervous, really phased. He's just focused on winning.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, I think one of the biggest things to look at SoS is, yes, he's one of the most creative Protoss players we've seen in Heart of the Swarm. He innovated a lot of the playstyles, but he never had something so solid to back it up, something so solid to push him towards a massive tournament victory. But at this tournament, like Jaedong, he's played excellently. He's backed everything that he thinks. He's so smart, he's intelligent, and it's all backed up fundamentally excellently, and that's why he's in the final.
Well, let's take a look. He beat 2 Terrans to get here and a Protoss in this tournament here today. Do you think his PvZ style, that style that we've seen before from him, with a lot of Void Rays, a lot of Sky Toss, Charge Zealots, DTs, High Templars, is that going to be something that can take out Jaedong, who has been beating down the very best Protosses in the world?
That's the scariest part about SoS being in this final. Who was the player that made that Void Ray style? Who was the player that went Zealot Charge? Who was the player that went Storm faster to improve his own style? Now imagine that player that made those styles backed up with amazing mechanics just like Jaedong has. This is not going to be just as easy as people think it will for Jaedong.
You know, it's funny. Let's go back to the start of StarCraft 2. Remember that not all the Korean professional gamers switched over. Okay,
that's right.
Jaedong was one of those players who was still playing Brood War when StarCraft 2 was out. And people were saying, well, what's going to happen when eventually StarCraft 1 entirely fizzles out? And these guys are going to switch over to StarCraft 2. And a lot of people were saying, well, we'll see people like, for instance, MVP dominate. Of course he's going to be good. He's had more time to practice, and he made the right choice to switch over to this game. In this period of time, from the end of the full end of StarCraft 1, and these players switching over, Jaedong has risen to the top so quickly. It is absolutely incredible.
And shouldn't he have? The greatest Zerg player of all time. We've known this forever. No one was even close to him in Brood War. And it looks like he's on that same path again in StarCraft 2.
I think that we can look at when players like Jaedong, or let's just take Jaedong. Jaedong, when he moved into StarCraft 2, he played, some may say, an arguably harder game when it came to Brood War. He was playing faster than anybody else. He was stronger than anybody else. Do you not believe, though, that he's hit new heights and new levels for Zerg players and overall players in StarCraft 2?
He has. Look at his play. He's using more Mutalisks than most other Zergs. He's innovating in a lot of ways. His mechanics are just fantastic. In my opinion, Apollo, he is the best reactive Zerg.
I completely agree.
You know, it's funny because we saw in that last series there, Jaedong really is somebody who takes control of the game. You have to play by his set of rules. I'm wondering myself, what exactly is SoS going to have to do beyond just completely bulletproof defense? What is he going to have to do to get to the point in the game where he's going to be able to have an advantage? Because Jaedong is just, he's just so, the weight of him in there is incredible.
You know, I think Apollo said it well before. SoS is an innovator. He is someone who comes up with new stuff. And I think we need to see something new from him here. And he hasn't played PvZ yet, so maybe he has something completely new that we haven't seen before.
Jaedong is so mechanically strong. If it's equal, if it's a heads-up fight, if it's just a street fight, I think Jaedong wins. SoS has to bring something special, unique, that can outsmart Jaedong here.
Yeah, you know, I'm always wondering, should maybe we see a timing here from SoS, or should we see hidden tech? I mean, Jaedong's been so good at scouting, so good at harassing. It's almost funny, though, because the way that he's won some of these games are not what you would expect to see at this level of WCS, you know? I mean, games where he's just been flat out figured out his opponent's build right away, got an edge, cornered, for instance, Reapers, like we saw in the last game, with Lings to just get a lead. It's almost like his intimidation factor is one of the things that's helping drive him up to where he's gotten now.
It's really scary to play against a Zerg that can play like that, Tasos, that can be so decisive and make these moves. For instance, you know, I was out back watching that last match. Double factory Blue Flame Hellions, 0 drone kills.
Yeah.
When is the last time we saw something like that?
And not only does he get 0 drone kills, he's already back to mining as the Hellions. They haven't even left creep yet.
Yes.
And he's sending his drones back to mining. It's so slick what he pulls off.
You know, I look back at that last game where he just had control of the map the entire time. Maru could not get out of his base. And this went on for, I think, like 25 minutes of just absolutely crushing him. If you looked at the mini-map, there were little Jaedong-colored dots all around. And it's going to be tricky here for SoS because Zerg can do the same thing to Protoss. It's going to be tough.
It certainly is. I cannot wait to start this match, you guys. Does anyone up here think SoS is going to do it?
Well, you know, we didn't see a lot of Jaedong playing against Zergs here today, or Protoss is here today. So you got to keep that in mind. He was really crushing through a lot of Terrans. So maybe SoS has something well prepared for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if SoS can break the killer mentality that Jaedong has, because right now he's got so much momentum that's pushing him forward, I really think that if he can do that, then yeah, I think he could.
You know what? We've seen, what, 5 second places and 2 round of 4s from Jaedong this year, I believe. Can he actually win a tournament? Because he's had momentum in all of those as well, and it absolutely did not work out.
Yeah, I mean, 4 finals, the 5th final now. Surely this has to be a victory. How long can he keep being second?
Well, he hopes it's done, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, people can't even talk about yellow anymore if Jaedong doesn't win tonight.
Well, it's so wild to see when you get to StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. This is the longest esport that's still been around, right?
Yeah.
Jaedong is the guy that is continuing to carry the torch forward as somebody who's the best. Most of the time, well, when you get pro gamers in really any game, usually they're at their top for, I would say, about 2 to 3 years, the best of the best. You know, I mean, Jaedong's somebody who's, we're going into like a decade of owning chair. I mean, think about that.
He is called the Tyrant, so that makes sense.
Looks like it's time. Let's make some noise with our 2 players here in the finals of the WCS. Over here in the upper left, give it up for SoS. All right, it looks like we have had a pause. We did see Jaedong type in PP, which is the cue for a pause inside the game. We don't know what the issue is, but whatever it is, it's clearly important. These are, okay, looks like, okay, he didn't have sound on. Let's try this one more time. Over here in the upper left, the Protoss Hope, give it up for SoS. His opponent down here in the bottom right, the legend from Brood War. Give it up for Jaedong.
It's a lot of support for Jaedong there, Tasteless.
Always a fan favorite. Really tries to interact with everyone. And oh, do we have a cannon rush starting this off?
Looks like it's going to be that. He's sending the probe out here now. Now, Jaedong's gone for early pull before, but it looks like in this case he's going to go for a quick hatch.
Uh-oh, this could really backfire, but he sees the probe coming, so at least he can watch for something like this. A second probe coming around.
Oh, is this going to work here? Well, Jaedong, look at it. He saw the probe. He's decided to switch up. He's gone for the pull.
Oh, well, that's actually really nice. The fact that he saw that probe, because the second probe coming out, this is going to make it really hard.
Wait a minute. He's still going to go for it? This is interesting.
I think this is something we saw from Liquid Hero within a couple of tournaments, actually. He's going to cannon rush from below that hatchery.
Well, you know, one thing about SoS is he has such brilliant builds. He's bringing this one here into the most important match of his entire career.
He certainly is doing that, and you know what? The one thing, maybe he can get a cancel here because of that low ground cannon protecting him. And if he can do that, he's also got cannons hitting the third base.
If this works, it's going to be huge, because this is Jaedong we're talking about. And I don't think Jaedong's going to scout for this. This is so abstract as a cannon rush. Oh my God, he spots it!
But I think it's too late. I think it's too late. The cannon is going to finish on the low ground. He can't stop this cannon on the high ground here.
Yeah, he should be able to force a cancel here.
And if he forces a cancel, Zerg's going to be in such a deficit. SoS already has cannons at the front of his base.
Well, what does Jaedong do from here? Is he going to cancel Apollo?
I'm not too sure. I think he has to, actually. He's already got this other hatchery coming down on the left-hand side. This is going to be impossible to defend.
And, you know, think about this. With the cannon, the one on the low ground, he can't expand to that other base if this gets canceled. He'll be stuck on 2 bases, and he does force a cancel.
Does make that cannon finish at least. And, well, the gateway just starting now about a minute later than normal due to the cannon rush.
So how successful do you think this has been, Autosis? This is a dedicated attack from resources that could have been for a faster expansion. Was this worth it for SoS?
I think if you look at it in the broad spectrum of things, where some games he's going to pick up a free win here, it's worth it, but in this game in particular, wasn't good enough.
Really interesting play. And with the way that Jaedong probably was going into this game, his mindset, the tables have really been turned. Jaedong was somebody who was taking control of each game against his opponent, setting the rules. Now, it's completely different. Jaedong has to, on his feet, with the world watching, engineer a strategy that's going to come back and turn the situation around.
Well, I think that's really what Jaedong is best at. This guy's so reactive, he's so clever, he's played a lot longer than SoS, he's so experienced. I think he's going to be fine here.
Yeah, and Jaedong's decided to take double gases here, so what is this actually for? I mean, he's going to tech up quite fast. Is this just for Zergling speed? Does he try to do something else here? I'm not too sure.
It's pretty hard to say, actually. I'm trying to figure out with 2 gases this quickly, like, you could go for a fast layer. You know, what would you want to get with that, though?
It's funny because if he doesn't get a 3rd base up here and Protoss is on 2 bases, I mean, this is StarCraft 101. You have to stay in the lead when it comes to expansions as Zerg. So maybe Jaedong's going to try to do something to end this very quickly.
Well, he is going up to a very fast layer. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to end up seeing here, Apollo. What do you think?
Well, the options from this point, well, as he starts to clear out these cannons, he could go for a Nidus Win, but what exactly is he going to put in there? He doesn't have Zergling speed research. Does he want to throw down a Roach Warren soon? Mulists are out the question. Could it be, if he takes the gases on his other base, could it be a Hydra Nidus play or something? He's so limited on gas at this point.
Yeah, you know, he hasn't taken the gases at his new natural right here. So it can't be Mutas, as you said. It probably won't end up being any sort of infestation pit. I'm not sure.
I feel like it's going to be a Nidus Worm. I'm not sure if that's the best move, but then again, what is the best move in this very bizarre setup that SoS has started this game out on?
Well, we have to look. The SoS did do research +1 attack straight away. He's added on 3 extra gateways, so no matter what Jaedong does, SoS seems to have a plan here. He's chronobushing into that cybernetics core.
Okay, so SoS is going to have plenty of units, probably isn't going to die. Ooh, a Hydralisk Den. So he's actually going fast Hydras. Maybe Jaedong thinks here that we were going to see a Stargate rather quickly after the cannon rush, which is pretty common.
That's very true. The Stargate is super common after a successful cannon rush because you can control the map very, very easily, especially with the Queens being slow off of creep. Instead, from what I'm gleaning here is that Jaedong is doing a kind of abstract way to just get back into a normal game. He's actually okay playing from a completely uncomfortable position as long as he can get back to that macro Zerg style that he's so good at.
As we see here, we have 4 probes that just got rallied to exactly the wrong place. That is actually a gigantic hiccup in SoS's economy.
Well, now the cannon's going to get picked off here, but we have a pylon aggressively. Remember, +1 attack has finished, and units are moving across the map. Are these Hydralisks and Zerglings that are going to be made? That's going to be enough. That's a lot of force fields.
I'm almost under the impression SoS expected Jaedong to do some kind of all-in after this and is now caught off guard. He is going to move down here into this attack. Let's see if Jaedong can hold this off.
He could force field this ramp and lock all the units out. They'll have to run around if he does do that. He sees the Hydras, though, and does back up for now.
And we have a pylon coming over here at the 3rd. SoS being very cautious. We've seen some players be a little bit too aggressive. He peeks in there and he says, can I 100% win this? No, I'm going to have to back up.
That was so interesting because I really thought, as you described, Autosis, he could have done so much there. Force fields on the ramp, he had the mothership core, he could easily recall if something went wrong there, and I think that may have been a missed opportunity for SoS.
I feel like minimum he was going to kill a lot of drones, but instead he has decided to run away. At least that does leave him with a lot of force fields shields for defense, and he did force a good amount of units out of a very low economy Jaedong.
Here we have that infestation pit coming down, and it looks like the drone going to the 4th base now is going to arrive. And Jaedong has transitioned into, frankly, a pretty healthy Zerg macro game right now.
He certainly has. He's got a pretty decent drone count. He's still teching up. That's a pretty quick infestation pit as well. And going on to a 4th base, you can't really ask for more after this weird and wonky start.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that with SOS's attack and investment into that gateways and the +1 attack, and without doing anything, it's almost equalized the game a little bit. I mean, Jaedong wasn't too far behind from the initial cannon rush, but from this point, the Hive is on its way. If he's able to combine Vipers with the Hydralisk that he has out, or something along those lines, especially because we see Colossus on the way, this could be a dangerous attack.
You know, on this map especially, one thing that it's pretty popular is going just for swarm host play and turtling up, which he could do. He does have, you know, an economic engine that's strong enough that he can set that up. We'll have to see.
You know, that is true, but this is also Jaedong. We have to remember that. There's always the possibility of Mutalisks. He could go for that, but with the Roaches and Hydras being made, I think it's going to be mainly Corruptors to help take out those Colossus.
Yeah, once those Colossus go down, this Protoss army that we see is just going to melt to the amount of Hydralisks and Roaches we're going to see.
All right, so we see a scouting hallucinated Phoenix coming in here. A Protoss is going to poke in and try to just wipe out the creep tumors, anything to get a little bit more map control. He sees the teching, and it looks like from here he's going to just go ahead and get a second Stargate. Oh, excuse me, he cancels it as I say that.
Okay, I think he was thinking it might be Mutalisks here, so he was getting ready for it, and after scouting this many Hydras and Roaches, obviously it's not going to be.
That makes a lot of sense because we've seen so much Mutalisk play from Jaedong throughout the last 2 days. He probably was trying to get ahead and stop that before it started, but no need, canceled it. Nice play there.
Well, Jaedong is racing up in supply now, guys. He's already up to 170. He really is racing, and with 3 Vipers on the way, a couple of ducks to the Colossus that are out here, Jaedong's army is going to be so strong.
Right now, SOS cannot attack. In fact, right now, SOS has to sit back and defend. As soon as they're charged up, it's going to be a deadly attack, but the Temple Archives is on the way.
That Jaedong is maxed out, by the way, as you can see here in first person, just now hitting 200. So he can now just start pulling larvae, and it's going to be very difficult for SOS to deal with. SOS at almost half of what Jaedong has.
We even see an Ultralisk Cavern coming down, a really great transition, especially if your opponent is staying on gateway units. So here we go. Jaedong is moving out.
This could be pretty crazy here, Tasteless, if these Ducks grab those Colossus.
All right, looks like he's going to be moving in now. Will he actually attack, or is he just testing the defenses around here? He could harpoon here with some of these Vipers.
Well, he does have 3 High Templars here, and it looks like, oh, he does pick off that Forge, and here comes the first yank. Oh, the Colossus lives, but a second yank. The Colossus goes down.
Beautiful, taking that Colossus out and then maneuvering around the map, but we do have a Warp Prism coming in over here. It could hit the 3rd base, and it could hit it hard.
A beautiful counterattack coming in from SOS, though. All the army, every part of Jaedong's supply is on the other side of the map. That Warp Prism with the Zealots there could do so much damage to Jaedong's infrastructure.
It very well may. There's only a single Roach and a Queen here to help out. If you can warp in some more units, that's going to be great. But this attack is still going on at his front door.
Looks like he's going to move in again here. The Colossi backing up. Will they get harpoon again?
Oh! Well, he doesn't end up getting that Colossi. It does get microwaved very quickly by SOS. In the meantime, the Zealots still trying to do damage, but don't get much done.
Oh, great pick there by Jaedong. Grabs one of those Colossus. But most importantly, SOS is holding strong.
Now think about this. The Colossus increment out one by one from the robotics facility. If he keeps losing those, he's never going to be able to push out on the map. Meanwhile, Zealots now hitting the hatch. Transfusions coming down. Jaedong rapidly coming back to try to save this.
Oh, is he going to get it? Is he going to get the hatchery? Oh, transfuse!
Oh my God! I cannot believe my eyes, even using an abduct on a single red Zealot. Jaedong going to every measure to save this hatchery.
Unbelievable play there. Jaedong not missing a beat, still maxed out. His army pushing out towards the front of the Protoss base. He's going to keep controlling this. It is looking to be probably a Jaedong win if SOS can't turn something else around here.
You know what? That is a possibility. He even has that Ultralisk Cavern ready. He's taking that 5th base. This is looking rather good for Jaedong, but SOS is taking his 4th.
Is he going to get the hatchery? victory!
Oh, no, not this time, Tasteless. The transfuses keep on, and the Warp Prism has to run away. But I think a really important part of this game right now is the Ultralisk. The upgrades are starting to come in. He's making his Ultralisk stronger. Jaedong currently doesn't care about Roach Hydra Viper as much anymore. But look at this. There's no Immortals. There's no Archons.
It's wild, man. Look at how much Jaedong is banked up, by the way. Almost 4K in minerals and over 1,000 in Vespian gas. So he has a lot of options here. Let's say his army gets wiped out. He can come up with a completely different tech.
Two Colossus being picked off, and it looks like he may even get a cancel on this fourth base. Jaedong playing a flawless game.
This is some of the best Viper play I have ever seen.
Yeah, and I can't believe that Jaedong keeps pulling this off. He's moving around. His opponent can't even get over 150 supply.
Oh man, look at this. The Zealots in the main base. At the same time, the Roach is hitting over here, but he doesn't even care about these Roaches. Psystorms comes down. Looks like he'll save the Nexus for now, but still more damage being done in Jaedong's main.
Yeah, the Nexus was bruised there, but just not enough. The Zealot harass has not been impactful here to get SoS a lead. SoS having a hard time even getting outside of his base. Well, we have another Zealot harass coming in here. He's going to go for the hatch. He's not going for the drones. This means he has to take a big step if he wants to get ahead.
Well, right now we have a big bang for Jaedong. The Spire's finishing. Is he going to do the Mutalisk switch?
The hatchery's getting lower, 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 and it does look like Jaedong once again manages to save this.
There's so much money being thrown into picking off hatcheries, the Warp Prism, the Zealots, and neither of them are successful. What is Jaedong waiting for now? It's going to be Ultralisk first of all here.
All right. 5 Ultralisks on the way. Also, a lot of spine crawlers being made. He realizes that this harassment is doing very well. Oh my gosh, getting low hatchery! Finally, SoS picks off a hatchery.
It's incredible. I mean, look at the APM here. That's actions per minute. It is so high right now. I believe that's SoS on the left there. It's incredible. These guys are playing so fast.
Right now, Jaedong pushing up again. He wants to get rid of the fourth base. Will he be able to do it? This is a little suicide force here, so even though it looks like he'll cancel that fourth, he should end up losing the army.
But Autosis, I really don't think Jaedong cares about his Roach Hydra anymore. But the big question I want to ask you and ask every other player out there, is SoS ready for Ultralisks?
He is absolutely not ready for Ultralisks. Stalkers, Sentries, and Colossus are all countered by them. And in fact, look at this. He's seen the double Spire, and he's going for Phoenixes. He's afraid of the Mutalisk switch.
And he's pooling the Phoenixes here too, so the Zerg might not identify that in time. And that might be a big surprise here for Jaedong.
Yeah.
Well, Jaedong is still making Ultras, and that's just another unit. You know, Phoenixes are even worse against Ultras than Sentries are.
So right now, SoS is attempting to take a fourth base. He can't stay on 3 bases forever, and I think what we're going to see, Jaedong's going to go for one big final attack. As soon as SoS moves down to take his fourth, his army will be the open, and that's when Jaedong's going to come for map number 1.
And it looks like that fourth is all just about to be completed here. He might wait for that to finish so even more damage is done, but you're absolutely right. He's going to gear up for one big killing blow.
Well, he's ready. He's just waiting, kind of in a concave here. It's hard to break through a wall with Ultras. And in fact, now he's showing them off. SoS has to be feeling pretty sad that he's bought so many Phoenixes right now.
Jaedong's on 5 bases. You can't stay on 3. He has to come out, but it gets cancelled. How the hell is SoS going to be able to afford anything if this game continues on?
This game is going to start snowballing here. In fact, it already has, really. Jaedong is getting bigger and bigger and scarier. He has so much banked up right now. And now going for the Nexus here. Will this snipe work off? He'll take out the Nexus and even free up supply to tech to something else.
Well, it looks like he does want to switch tech now by throwing away those Ultras. He could go into Mutas, but let's not forget, SoS is ready for that. There's a lot of mind games going on right now.
But how much money does he really have? Because yes, he'll have a little of everything, but not a lot of it. And that's the big problem, because look at how much money Jaedong has saved up. At any point in this game, Jaedong could win with his trademark move.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of Immortals on the way. We're actually starting to get to a composition that SoS may be able to win battles with. And if he's very quick with that, Jaedong's going to have a hard time. But again, as Tasteless, you were saying, the 5 bases of Jaedong allow him to do whatever he wants.
Oh, look at this brave soldier, Tasteless.
Just moving out right here.
He's going to grab that watchtower.
Now, note that most other players would, well, hold on, we're in first person now. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and try to do some harass over here. Anything he can do to try to get a small lead, taking out these drones, maybe even getting this hive. If you get that, that would be huge.
Well, the hive, it may in fact end up going down, but is that enough at this point?
Now, it's important to note that most Zerg players would have a wall of spine crawlers and be turtled up, but that's not how Jaedong plays. Jaedong is all about aggression and control, not about passive play.
That is correct, and in fact, he sat back there for a moment, the Immortal making its way all the way over into his natural.
So do you think Jaedong may be sitting back too much here, Autosis? SOS's supply is starting to rise now.
Well, you know what? Immortal, Void Ray, Archon, Colossus is a pretty good unit composition against Ultralisk. So, yeah, he may have waited a bit too long.
You got to wonder if this might be somewhat of a mistake. This is a map where the 4th base is much easier to secure than any other map, and maybe Jaedong banking on wiping out that 4th and drying up the Protoss, maybe that's a mistake.
Well, you know what? I think Jaedong can make a few mistakes here and still be okay. He's just got so many bases. He's taking another. His creep spread looks good, and that's still a good unit composition.
Well, we could see the fight happen here. Jaedong is posturing outside there, but SOS is tucked in a very nice location. If Jaedong was to fight there, he'd probably lose a lot without really trading off too well.
Well, we see a passive Jaedong right now. He's just waiting. You know, he's saying, "Okay, you gonna come out? You gonna try to fight me?" SOS completely turtled up right now, and I'm really starting to wonder here, unless Jaedong starts to make a bunch of spine crawlers perhaps or something. Oh, we'll see. Actually, he's attacking it now.
All right, a little bit of an attack so far. Those Phoenixes starting to get picked off a little bit, and I think that's part of what Jaedong wants.
You know, these Ultralists are not quick. I mean, the Stalkers can continue to chase him there with Blink. This one Void Ray nicely takes out that hatchery, catching the tail end of that there.
All right, I think it's time for Jaedong to really start doing something. He's got the Nidus network, which is going to come. He's got an Overseer on high speed towards the main base.
Now, he might not see this Nidus network come in here, where he's actually moving out with his army in the middle here. This could be a big surprise, but SOS has decided now is the time to attack. Almost 30 minutes into this game, he's finally trying to make a killing move.
Well, it looks like we're starting to have a base race. The Ultralisk Roach going towards that 4th base. Mutalisk starting to be made, and that's going to be his big switch as he loses his supply.
Yeah, that's going to be it. But does he lose these 8 Mutalisks that come out? Does he lose the hatcheries? Does he lose the lava? Extra spires are being made. This is getting crazy.
Once again, Jaedong is going for a base trade scenario, but will it work? As SOS tears through Jaedong's base, he eliminates critical tech structures.
Uh-oh, some DTs in there, no real detection. He's going to have to end up using a fungal most likely. This is getting really painful for Jaedong. He has to go home and lose this supply so he can make Mutalisks.
All right, well, imagine if you lost Overlords or something along those lines. This is becoming very, very close in a game that almost shouldn't have been.
It's absolutely insane. The bottom right base is being taken out. Phoenix is being produced. There are 3 spires being made right now.
Did he lose his main spires? Is that why we're not seeing it?
He lost both spires back there at the 2nd.
Oh, this is really stressful right now, I imagine, for Jaedong. With all the Phoenixes being made, they've already been upgraded for so long. They're going to be so good against Mutalisks that pop.
That is very true, but these Mutas do have +3 attack. There may be a few Infestors left on the map that could swing that battle in his favor. But this is starting to look really rough for Jaedong.
You know, if he gets enough Phoenixes out, the Overlords are not really well protected. I mean, he could actually wipe out all of the ability for the Zerg to make units here.
Oh, and he's actually adding on 4 High Templar, and I really think that's the deal with what he's expecting, I'd imagine, to be Mutalisks. He's probably like, Jaedong, come on, man, you've been on 5 bases for 20 minutes. Where's the money?
Well, it's a very good question. I think he's really smart to be making these Phoenixes. Jaedong just losing the spires, doing the base trade with Ultras, it's not working out for him.
He doesn't have enough lava.
No, he does not.
He's lost so much.
It's so sad. He has all this capital, and he can't spend it.
Well, here goes the army, and this is going up towards at least where 1 or 2 of his extra spires are at, and there are 2 of them. So those are going to be taken out rather quickly as well. Good thing, though, he made 3.
Does Jaedong fight up there to defend that location, or does he forget about it and try to keep the Mutalisk count rising?
I think he has to forget about it. There's no way to save it, no matter what. Those Immortals are going to win whatever battle comes to them right now. He actually just has to have mass Mutas, but there's so many Phoenixes out, I don't know that it matters.
And the Spires are going to be stamped out again here. Jaedong running out of places to hide as this death ball of SOS moves from location to location, slowly wiping out anything Jaedong related.
Oh God, these Phoenixes doing such a great job against the Mutas, and in fact, coming to join up this army with all those Archons, you are never going to be able to engage this.
Yeah, after watching this game, I can't help but feel how good and how well SOS has played. Just imagine, a few moments ago, he's on 3 bases, he couldn't take a 5, he looked so far behind, but everything's gone his way.
It certainly has, and this is the final battle. GG! Wow. That was amazing. For SOS to come back and win that when Jaedong had so much money banked, so much tech, he had everything at his disposal, and one false move, not letting his army die, not having the supply to repop on Mutas right away. He waited too long.
It's so interesting how SOS played that. I was pretty confident, I think you guys were as well, that once we saw SOS stuck in his base for like 25 minutes or something, that Jaedong should be able to win that no matter what. But SOS had the patience. He was so calculated when he moved out. Even the order in which he attacked everything was beautiful, and that's how Jaedong got wiped out.
All right, so this is going to be the next map that we'll be going over to here in this best of 7 finals. It is going to be Derelict Watcher, a 2-player map. It is rather large and open, and it's definitely a map that we've seen throughout the World Championship Series this year that has favored Zerg over Protoss.
It has, and I think it's a good map for Jaedong specifically. We've seen a lot of Mutalisk play here from him. But it feels like, you know, is he losing his nerve? He's in the finals. He's so close to winning the most important tournament of the year. And he just almost threw away that game that he was so far ahead in.
Well, you know Jaedong is going to be kicking himself for that last game because it started out weird. I really like that strategy by SOS. But, you know, the thing is that it was a strategy that, although it was weird, he was unable to make it follow through. But, yeah, he had that advantage. And he wasn't able to carry it out.
Well, Apollo, what do you think Jaedong has to do here to pick up a victory to get back on track?
I don't think he really needs to change that much. I really, kind of felt in that previous game that he really wanted to end it with the Mutalisks. He knew that a base trade could happen, but it just didn't kind of go the way he expected it to be. So I don't really think he'll change that much this game. But one thing to note, which, okay, maybe one small thing we'll see change, is just maybe the openings. I think he'll be a little bit more careful of SOS. We know that he can open any style, any kind of build, aggressive or non-aggressive.
Well, you know what? I think that's a good point, Apollo. If he plays as well as he played last game and just doesn't make that one big crucial mistake, he was looking like a better player for a while there. But again, SOS, you cannot count him out. He knew what was going on the entire game. He was so on top of Jaedong's style, making those Phoenixes so early on. That's really how he ended up winning.
Well, guys, it looks like it's time for game number 2. To find out who is going to be crowned the champion, the best StarCraft 2 player of 2013 here at Blizzcon. Over here in the upper right, in the red, up 1 game so far. Make some noise for SOS. And in the bottom left, the legend from Brood War here to prove he can be the legend now in StarCraft 2. He is Jaedong!
He is intense right now. To have lost that game.
Looks like we might have a pause here.
Looks like we do in fact have a pause.
Yeah, I think it was Jaedong putting his headset on, so he's just doing it now in the booth. But I really agree. I mean, he was intense, man. That stare as we were loading into this next map, I think that would it? Yes, it is. It would have. It really would have angered him, that first map. That would have made him so much more determined for this next one.
That would be so frustrating, that first map. All right, so anyways, we're back into this game. Again, the map is Derelict Watcher.
And you know what, SOS that was just on screen there, he actually looked very calm. He looked very collected and not even really nervous.
It's really interesting. He just seems unfazed. at all by this entire experience. He's totally clutch.
Are we seeing mind games happen here, SoS? Are we going to see another early forge?
Yeah, we are. This is another cannon rush.
So is he saying that you can't? I mean, is Jaedong saying you can't cannon rush me twice in a row?
You know what's crazy about this? Let's say that SoS wins here. Let's say that this strategy looks like the last strategy that we saw in game number 1. This will forever change the way we understand Protoss.
Well, SoS is going for it. We don't see a second probe this time. Of course, this is not a map you're going to go low ground. Oh, what is... Okay, the drone coming out. Almost looking for something weird going on. And will the probe... Oh. Apollo, it's happening.
It is happening, and well, guess what, SoS? You cannot get in between those two pylons.
Yeah, due to the architecture here, he can actually just make a cannon when it's blocked off, and Jaedong is probably going to be forced to cancel here.
This is like SoS's thing, finding funny places that you can't get into. So this cannon rush is already basically successful. Jaedong is not going to be able to stop it.
I don't even know what it means if Jaedong loses to cannons in the finals of this. This is insane. All right, now the drones are coming down here. Kenny, nice wall up there. If he gets these cannons up, he's going to have to cancel this hatchery. That'll put Zerg in a really bad position.
You know what? This is exactly what SoS wants. He gets 2 free drones now as well. Jaedong is way further behind than he was in the first game.
That was so much more successful. Jaedong, in that circumstance, thought he could break it. Thought that's the reason why he pulled the drones, but he couldn't.
I have to imagine that Jaedong is livid right now. In game number 2, cannons already foiling his plans.
Well, this is a terrible spot to be in. You know, he's already lost a couple extra drones. Look at this, he has 4 Zerglings. What are those Zerglings gonna do? See that there's a cannon at his opponent's base? Great job, Zerglings.
We see the Lings now completely rendered impotent. There's nothing they can really do here. He's gonna go ahead, SoS is gonna go ahead and tech up, get his gas. And from here, SoS has a series of very good options for how to carry out a win.
Yeah, I think it was a really smart play from SoS, because when you open up with a cannon rush in game number 1, Jaedong's going to be thinking, yeah, he's not going to do it twice, and therefore decided to go back to his original build that we almost saw him try to pull off in game number 1. And SoS was able to play that mind game, and he won it, and he gained the advantage.
What do you guys think Jaedong's going to do in this game? Because I think if we look at the last game, it's fair to say that he handled that bizarre situation really, really well. It was the end game where he kind of wasn't able to really follow suit. Will Jaedong do something similar, or is he going to do something more aggressive and all-in-ish?
You know what? I think he has to do something similar. I think he has to play kind of a safe game overall. I would definitely expect Stargate here, although some Protosses like to go for Warp Gate Rush because you have the proxy pylon already up and secure. So he has to just watch out for something like that as well.
Well, Jaedong is taking both of the gases at the exact same time as the previous game. So far, it does look like he is mirroring what he did previously.
Well, you know, it's really safe, and I think that opening like this will pretty much always get him into at least a 4-base situation before SoS has a really dedicated attack.
How soon do you guys expect SoS to take the third? Because the third base on this map's a little funky. It's not the easiest thing to get to.
Well, right now, we're actually seeing +1 attack being researched again, and Chrono Boost going into the cybernetics core, rushing out that Warp Gate research. He's not mining the most amount of gas from his main base, if I just glance at that real fast there. So I think we could be seeing a gateway attack come from SoS here.
You know, I think a timing could be really effective here. I mean, Zerg is already economically a little bit staggered here, so maybe a move in like that could do the damage that he needs to do.
Well, let's see how many gates he gets. Will it be just 4? Will it be 5, 6, 7? We don't know quite yet. Looks like if he is going to make more, he's going to spread them out. And you know what? If he doesn't have a Roach Warren, that's going to be very scary when those Zealots warp in.
All right, 2 evolution chambers. So right now, Jaedong kind of investing in the late game, in the long run. And you got to think, if the Protoss does have a good timing attack, this pylon, he has a proxy pylon right there where the cannons are. He can actually warp in an army and attack him right away.
But he doesn't have another one anywhere else, so it seems very simple if that were to be the attack and the strategy.
Yeah, but look, I mean, the Warp Gate just now finishes, and the cannons are still there, the pylons are still there, and now he's going to go for double Stargate.
Well, you know what? I think he's he's going to warp in around his Zealots, perhaps, harass a little bit with these Stalkers the Zealot he already has, as well as those with the +1, and then just go straight into Void Rays.
And I think this is what we all described previously before this series started that SOS would need to do. Outsmart, outthink, and just kind of outplay Jaedong without physically fighting in kind of just wars head-to-head mechanically.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird, like, drunken boxing way of playing the game here from SOS, where he just gets in this position where he has complete control. And now the Zealots are attacking in here. The drones are going to be used to defend.
This +1 attack doing a fantastic job. Look at that micro pulling back the hurt Zealot, not letting the Queens be too effective. And he has forced a lot of Zerglings and killed a lot of Zerglings.
And he can, again, warp in more if he wants. We have 2 Phoenixes now on the way. 4 more Zealots warped in on the bottom. Mind you, he can attack from that proxy pylon, the north or the south.
And you know what? I think the last thing he would have expected were these Stargates, but he did scout them, so he's going to have to be very careful.
But without a Roach Warren, I mean, SOS has seen that this is double evolution chambers. He doesn't really can't afford a Roach Warren or Roaches, so at this point, he just continued to warp in more +1 attack Zealots.
The angle here for the Zealots is really strong against these Zerglings. Zerglings now coming in here, but the Zerglings not quite getting as good surface area as Jaedong would want. The harassment continues.
Well, he continues to warp in Zealots there as well. I think that the efficacy of this rush is basically used up. There's so many Zerglings out right now, and that 1-1 about to finish, those are wasted unit rounds.
But we do see Jaedong previously just scouting out the Spire. I mean, scouting out the Stargates, but decided to go Spire still.
I mean, what is that going to be? Is he going to go Mass Corruptor? Maybe Corruptor Muta?
But then, you know, if he goes Mass Corruptor, can he actually get enough out in time before the Phoenixes have already paid for themselves in dividends, right?
It's hard to say. I'm not exactly sure what he's planning there. And seeing the Spire, the Fleet Beacon does go down for SOS. It seems like everything Jaedong is doing is playing into his plans.
What we're seeing SOS do so far in this series, we've never really seen a Protoss do before. This is changing the way we see the game now. This technical harass, starting out with a cannon rush, having a secured proxy pylon into this air harass. It's absolutely beautiful.
So what is that gas that Jaedong has saved up? What is it for here? 1,200 of it saved, but what does he build?
I still don't know. It looks like 5 Corruptors. Maybe he just grabs a few of those and goes Muta and just says, you know what, I'm going to try to outplay this guy that has mass Phoenix.
What happens if it's Corruptor Zergling only to try to break this third base? It's only Phoenixes, it's only Zealots, and remember, the Zerglings have a higher upgrade count now.
Now, here's one thing going for Jaedong. He did force a cancel over here. Will that be enough, though? The Phoenix harass and the Zealot harass continues.
Look at this. The Zealots just continue to come in. As you say, Tasteless, they're going after the Spore right now so that the Phoenixes can come in, but there are the Corruptors.
And we now have the Zealots just doing so much damage at this point in time. You know, I think a lot of this goes back to the fact that that proxy pylon with the cannons was never taken out.
And Jaedong just doesn't have that high of a mineral income. His main base is consistently harassed. He's only mining fully off 1 base at this moment.
Oh my god, and look at where he puts those Zealots. Just perfect placement against someone only making Zerglings, but luckily with these better upgrades, he will clear this out as well.
So many Queens have been picked off here. You know, the Phoenixes are so agile, they can get in and out and just avoid these Corruptors with ease.
SOS is playing such an intelligent playstyle right now. He's got 2 cannons there to support another pylon where he can continue to harass and continue to warp in units to stop the income and economy of Jaedong. This is beautiful play coming from SOS.
It looks like SOS is maybe a minute or 2 away, actually maybe a second or 2 away, from forcing Jaedong on 2 base. And this goes back to the basic theme of Protoss versus Zerg. Zerg always have to be ahead in a base, or Protoss will dominate them.
A perfect play here from SOS. So clever, so good. And he's continuing to upgrade his Phoenixes. He has so many, it makes sense. How does Jaedong recover from this situation?
And I'm not sure he can here from this point. He's losing so much. SOS, as you know, vividly described, is playing so smart. This is some very intelligent play from Game 1 and Game 2.
We see the Phoenix is now strong enough to engage the Corruptors, doing so much damage, and Zealot spinning in here. I don't know if Jaedong can recover.
It looks like he may be dying here, Tasteless and Apollo. Look at all of these Zealots just pushing forward. The Corruptors almost all gone. This is bad news for Jaedong.
Again, the Corruptors being beaten back. Nothing really here to stop these Zealots, and I think we're probably going to have to go into game number 3.
Yeah, even if Jaedong's able to push this back with the Roaches and Corruptors he has, this is a very easy place for SoS to fall back onto a third and continue the game longer if Jaedong does defend on what he has in bases at the moment.
At this point, the Phoenix count is simply too high. They're being so efficient. It's snowballed far out of its control.
And I gotta wonder what's going on in Jaedong's mind. How is he gonna recover here as this series continues? Because SoS is playing like probably nothing Jaedong prepared to face against.
You can't prepare against something like this. This is a strategy that we basically never ever see, but SoS has used it and executed it like a strategy he does 10 times a day.
And he's gone up to 4 Stargates now. He'll probably throw down a third base momentarily, and he's just going to increase his Void Ray count. He realizes that Jaedong only has Zerglings and Roaches to play around with. The air units aren't good when the Phoenixes are out in so many.
The Spore Crawlers won't even stop the number of Void Rays that he's going to be flying across the map with. This is it's a perfect move again by SoS, and Jaedong cannot even switch into Hydralisk from here.
Yeah, right now this is like a checkmate. Yeah, GG. I think Jaedong was biding his time a little bit there after that one game. Probably trying to digest that loss and then also come up with a plan as to like what exactly does he do to turn this series around.
Well, he's down 0-2 right now. He's staring at possibly another second place. I'm starting to feel a bit bad for him, Apollo.
But overall, apart from game number 1, I mean, I think in game number 1 it was Jaedong's mistake. In game number 2 it was SoS with the advantage early on, and he carried an advantage throughout all of the game. Coming into game number 3, Jaedong must not allow something so simple as a cannon rush to bring back the Tyrant. Something so simple shouldn't stop such a warrior.
Okay, I gotta ask here. Is SoS gonna do anything cannon rush related again?
I say yes. I vote yes here.
I want yes.
It's Whirlwind, okay?
I think no.
A 4-player map. Definitely a map that has the minerals situated in such a way that a cannon rush is not hard to pull off, and it's a little bit less easy to do it here. You have to send out 2 probes to guarantee it. That could trick Jaedong into thinking, you know what, I think I'm just going to hatch first again.
Autosis, is there anything that Jaedong could do to be aggressive himself in the early stages, which would counteract what we're seeing from SoS?
You know, I don't really like any of the aggressive options because you can fall back on that Forge just so quickly. It's very unlikely that even a Zergling rush could get in before the wall is complete.
You know, it's tricky because the cannon rushes they have their place, but you don't expect ever for a cannon rush to be used more than once in a series like this, right?
Yeah.
That's like your one sucker punch move out of that best of 7, but to do it again like that, and you can see SoS really has it mapped out as to how the Zerg responds. SoS might have been a little bit surprised in game 1 to see how passive and conservative Jaedong was, but the moment that Jaedong tried to do something a little bit more dramatic in game number 2, he immediately was able to punish it.
Well, we have right now Oz in the booth, the teammate of Jaedong from Evil Geniuses, talking to him.
Yeah, I mean, any confidence and words of advice from a teammate is going to be so important at this stage. He cannot let all the memories of all the other tournaments this year, the other 4 finals he's played in, come back, because in multiple tournaments he's actually lost 0-4. And if he's to lose this next map coming into Whirlwind to go 0-3, statistically, it's very, very difficult to come back when you're 0-3 down in a best of 7.
But that would be the greatest thing we ever saw.
That would be absolutely incredible. And by the way, guys, looks like it's time for game number 3 here between Jaedong and SoS.
He's angry, tasteless.
Jaedong does not look too happy right now, that's for sure. SoS, cool as a cucumber. Introducing our players in the bottom right. Surprising everyone here. Playing so well. Up 2 games. Give it up for SoS. And in the upper right, the fan favorite here, the legend from Brood War. Make some noise for Jaedong.
I think the crowd has really shown who they want to win.
Yeah, a lot of Jaedong support here.
He's got to stop this landslide before it's too late.
Well, if he loses here, it's the Jaedong curse, the curse of the Dong. I mean, not the Pang curse anymore.
It's going to be interesting to see what SOS does here, because again, history is being made. The metagame in StarCraft 2 will be forever shifted after today.
You know, cannon rushes, it seems like they're the way to go. Maybe, you know, the North American server has it right.
That's right. Maybe they do, SoS. As you can see, there's another hatchery first. The cannon rush may have been successful again.
That's right. And, you know, SOS definitely not going for that. Looks like it's going to be a hatchery first here.
Yeah, it's going to be a Nexus first here from SOS. And, you know, from here, we will not have any cannon tomfoolery.
Imagine
no
if Jaedong went 3 hatcheries now and was playing the mind games here. And I think he might be. Look at this.
Yeah.
He's saying, no, you're probably just going to expect me to play defensive. Take a Nexus first of your own. And Jaedong's saying, well, you know, I'm kind of smart myself. And looks like we are going to see that 3 hatchery play.
This is Jaedong saying, I am not backing down. I am not losing BlizzCon. I'm going to play my game and I'm going to beat you.
SOS maybe expecting a spawning pool first here. Totally shifted gears now. That this opener here from SOS is your bread and butter PvZ opener. The way he takes the game from here is really where the beauty of Protoss is shown. How will he tech? Does he go for a few gateways and do a timing? Does he get the Stargates out? We're gonna have to wait and see.
Well, you know, I think a Stargate is probably a good choice, unless he's planning a 2-base all-in. What do you think, Paul? What is the best choice for him to use here on Whirlwind against Jaedong?
I think that SOS, if he was to play a regular game, like, for example, Deer, who Jaedong did beat, bear in mind, earlier on in this tournament, if he was to play a regular style, I think that's where Jaedong's going to be the most comfortable. I think SOS has to continue to ride the momentum from game number 1 and game number 2 and really just win by kind of outplaying and outsmarting Jaedong.
Now, you know, with a map like this, if Jaedong's allowed to play the way he would prefer to play, I mean, he is going to have a really easy time, I would think, winning this game. I mean, this is a big open map. Counterattacks, very easy. By the way, we've seen Jaedong counterattacking more than anybody out of our 16 players here today.
What is this probe in the top left building a pylon?
Oh my!
Oh, is he gonna do something
we may
sneaky?
see something here.
Well, he's definitely not expanding up there, so he's gonna maybe hide a pylon. You know, we do see Protoss players sometimes throw a probe into the corner of a map just so they can scout later on. But I would love to see him SOS show us something fancy.
He could possibly expand there, though. We've seen a few hidden expansions on 4-player bases so far in this tournament.
Actually, you do make a good point. With the map this big, in the upper left, that's the last place Jaedong would probably end up expanding to.
Yeah.
And maybe, let's say he makes a Nexus up there. He can suck up all the minerals. Jaedong doesn't even know how many expansions his opponent has it there, and that affects the decision-making.
I think that's what we may see here. Well, we'll have to find out, but on the other side of things, Jaedong has decided to get a kind of early evolution chamber. He's decided to research +1 melee attack for his Zerglings and then get the Zergling speed. What he'll be looking to do here, he's actually expecting to see a 3rd base, a normal game here. But if the 3rd base is on the other side of the map...
You know, one thing that's really interesting about Protoss, whether it's StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2, is all the good top-end Protoss players, they always had to play differently from each other. You know, you get sometimes Terrans, you know, there's a certain way to do it, a right way to do it. I have seen so much guile, so much cunning coming out of SOS that it's blowing my mind here. Yeah, maybe we're going to have that probe in the upper left used. In the meantime, the Stargate play is the way to go, with a Void Ray clearing out any Overlords in close proximity.
Well, you know what? This could be part of the mind game of what that probe could be up to as well. SOS is very well known for going like 2 Stargate Void Ray a lot of the time against Zerg. It's something he's quite comfortable with.
You know, with 2 Stargate Void Ray, you can turtle for a long time.
Yes.
On that. And, you know, I think you guys might be right. Yeah, let's say he just turtles up and then just hides the space. And this is something that happens especially on Whirlwind. It's so big, and when you're both hugging the right side of the map in this case, you can end up completely ignoring that other side of the map. But instead, we're going to have, it looks like a pylon put right outside the Zerg's base.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to move forward here, but he really doesn't have that much, does he? He's got the Mothership Core, he's got the Void Ray, he may be able to pick up a couple of Queens or so, but overall, this is not really anything dangerous.
And
oh my God, he's doing it.
This is the amount of mind games that we're seeing here. That forward pylon was to force more units out of Jaedong because SoS is not leaving his 2 bases, which is going to allow Jaedong to trick himself into thinking he's forcing SoS to stay in his base.
That is so beautiful. You're absolutely right, Artosis. He just goes there to make that pylon, and Jaedong's thinking, what's this guy doing? I don't get this. He backs off, and now this expansion in the upper left is made. So here's the way the game should look. Let's say SoS gets what he wants. This is going to be a long, drawn-out game where Jaedong doesn't find out about the extra base in the upper left until it's too late. All of a sudden, Jaedong, thinking he's ahead or even, is in fact behind.
I think this really will question Jaedong's intelligence as this game goes on, but we'll come back to that in a second. As the Void Rays have already picked up 1 Queen, they're going to get a second here.
Oh my God, so much damage being dealt already. In fact, they're going to get the Spore Crawler as well. The 2 Queens coming down, but they aren't enough to kill this all off.
And, you know, with the amount of damage he's taken there, this has got to be a very frustrating moment for Jaedong. I mean, that's just, the game looks so weird from the Zerg's perspective. I mean, it's really a big puzzle.
It is, and in fact, he's making a lot more Zerglings. He's even getting another macro hatch going down, and this is because he thinks he needs to keep denying a 3rd base. Because there's so many Void Rays, you just don't have enough to stop mass Speedlings, but the 3rd base is in the top left.
Is there any way that, I mean, this is going to be so incredibly difficult to read into that this is there. Is there some way, somehow, Jaedong can figure this out?
Well, I mean, he just has to send 1 Ling rallied from the to the upper left and then down to the bottom right. And it looks like he might be doing some of that now. He's getting a little bit suspicious, but I gotta say, SoS has done such a good job of making it look like his rush strategy didn't work and then his 3rd base is gonna be late.
Well, we'll see if that does continue, because again, if Jaedong does send anything up there, it can be killed off rather quickly. Now, SoS, he's starting to get his macroing and taking the natural of SOS's 2nd main.
Okay, now he gets a cancel here on this Nexus, but SoS is going to be fine with that because SoS already has his 3rd up and running. This is actually a greedy 4th. Protoss is not, they're not supposed to be ever able to get 4 bases up this fast because the Zerg can just stop it. But if the Zerg doesn't know that there's another base, then, you know, there's no way for him to punish it.
But look at this. We have 16 Mutalisks on the way against someone that is going for charge lots at the moment, researching Storm, and only has Void Rays as anti-air.
Only 5.
That's very true. The Void Rays are a very particular unit. I mean, they can just be blindsided. When you are going for 4 bases, you don't have a lot of production until those are up and running.
Well, the Zerglings coming in for yet another cancel. Looks like they should be able to get it. But that leaves the Mutas to go into the main base with no anti-air.
Mutas tearing in now, destroying the cannon. The 3rd base is up and running. The probes are moving out now. A Zealot charge may be denied.
And I think it's going to get denied here, and it does get denied. And also the Templar Archives.
Oh, is he going to get it before Storm finishes? It looks like he does.
He does. Now the Mutas are retreating. And, you know, one thing that I think SOS didn't anticipate was that Muta attack like that. We have 60 more Lings on the way. But that hidden base is still not detected here for SOS. And as long as that goes on, that's a source of income that Jaedong can't punish.
I can't help but feel, Artosis, and you can agree or disagree with this, but as SOS, I feel the biggest component missing was scouting. He's built a strategy, he's built an opening, but where was the scouting? He had no idea what was really going on.
But this whole game is about not scouting. I mean, SOS hasn't actually didn't check what the tech was here for Jaedong, and then Jaedong didn't check for the hidden base here. The Nexus, by the way, taken out here as we are looking through the eyes of Jaedong right now.
You know, if I'm Jaedong, I might be thinking that I am way ahead at the moment. In fact, even catching some of these Phoenixes, a bit of sloppy play there from SoS.
And this would be really remarkable if Jaedong was to be able to win this game, considering his opponents had an upper hand for the majority of it.
Well, what SoS needs to do is bunker down and turtle and wait this out. It in a way should look like the last game that we saw. He just needs to defend, and let Jaedong think he has more of a lead than he actually does.
Well, you know what? Jaedong right now on 5 bases, getting infestors out, continuing to make mutas. If he gets one good fungal growth on all of these Phoenixes that are out there, he can just win the game.
And now SoS is going for his 5th base, which you so rarely get to see from a Protoss in this kind of a manner. If he gets this up, it could just turtle. He might be in good shape, but Jaedong is one of these guys with surgical precision with those mutas who could get in there and do the damage he needs to do.
Well, especially when he has 23 mutas. That's surgery with a sledgehammer, Tasteless.
So we have the Lings coming down now, probably try to deny this expansion yet again.
Well, they're not going to be able to get it, are they? With a couple more warpins, they should be able to push this back. I'm really excited to see these fungals come down. They could change everything in this game if they were to land.
SoS coming out here now and wiping out that small Zerg force. Jaedong right now might be a little bit confused. Wow.
Can he bait the Phoenixes? Can he bait the Phoenixes back? If he baits them back in, he gets
beautiful.
That is not as many as he wanted, but that is a start at least. The thing is, SoS is going to be a lot more careful in the future.
All right, missed Phoenix, the fungal there. And now an engagement. Archon's hitting these infestors, and right now the muta's taking some damage from those Archons as well.
Uh-oh, all of the mutas are going to go down, but the Lings will clean up the ground army. Oh no, Burrow, it doesn't look like he's going to get away with the infestors.
But he might be able to pick off the 3rd base here. That's a lot of Zerglings. There's not too much helping and surrounding it.
He has an Archon coming up here now. The Void Race coming up as well. Phoenix is rapidly picking up each individual Zergling. There may be just enough Protoss here in defense to save that Nexus.
And there are so many units streaming across the middle of the map as well.
Well, he does save the Nexus, but is he going to save it this time with that many Zerglings coming down? In fact, it looks like Jaedong is going to run into the main on the side. Oh, beautiful warping by SoS.
Incredible. That could have been a game changer had he gotten into the main. Lings now again hitting this Nexus.
They've got the wraparound, Tasteless. They've got the wraparound on it.
And with that wraparound, they're going to be able to probably take this Nexus out. So many cannons being worked in. But again, the story is that Jaedong doesn't know about this base right up there. Jaedong is eventually going to end up expanding to that location and then finding out that he has been, well, part of a ruse all along.
You know what? I don't know that that expansion is actually going to be enough with 15 infestors on the way, as well as mass Zerglings, as well as Ultralisk upgrades. This army is so scary.
It's so strong.
If he can get in there and just destroy the bottom right, I mean, you can, in a sense, as far as stuff you have to kill off, you look at the, as long as the bottom right, where all the stuff is produced from is killed, yeah, Jaedong absolutely wins.
14 Corruptors.
Wow.
This is quite the air army.
And you can see that with the turtling so heavily here from SoS, I mean, that's great and all, but it's the Phoenixes, they're allowing SoS to actually do any damage on the map, right? You know, these pickup queens taking out drones. With all those Corruptors, he can stop that immediately.
Well, we have a lot of Archons being made, and I do have to say that Archons are a good counter to Lings and to Corruptors and to Mutas, so that's still going pretty well for SoS.
And I think Jaedong agrees with you. He's added on 7 roaches here, which is going to be a lot better against these Archons than the Zerglings will. But it really feels that Jaedong is increasing his upgrades, and he is starting to build an army to take a fight soon.
Now, we did see those infestors getting burrowed. He may be moving out here to try to get a fungal off any of this bunched up army, or even dumping a bunch of infested Terrans here and then running in with the rest of his army.
You're really smart, Tasteless. If he's able to grab these units, that's a good start.
Oh, and it looks like he's going to get a lot of them, but some of them do get picked up. The Corruptors coming in from the side. Storm going down. A lot of infested Terrans as well.
And it looks like he might be able to get all of these infestors if he can just chase them down. The Corruptors are wiping out everything in the air, but the Protoss ground army is so dominant, warping in here at this pylon.
It looks like Jaedong does have to retreat once again, but he is maxed out. He still has a reasonable bank, and even going into Greater Spire now.
And he's able to keep 10 of the 15 infestors alive. Together with the Roaches, they are almost the best, the ultimate army against Zealot Archon. Landing the Fungals, preventing the charged Zealots from moving forward, keeping the Archons away from doing damage. If he's able to land the correct Fungals with the infestors left over and come in with the Roaches, even the corruption spell from the Corruptors, it would be such an amazing fight for him.
And this might be the perfect time to attack here for Jaedong, because the SOS is trying to sneak that 5th base up here. Nice fungal! Beautiful infested Terrans raining down Psystorm to follow that up. But this may be just too much. The chain fungals can punish the Zealots so easily.
Roaches have pretty big umbrellas, Tasteless. They're surviving the storms and they're pushing forwards.
He's now going to close in here on the would-be 3rd base. Keeping SOS under control. By the way, supplies right now, SOS at 107 to Jaedong being maxed out.
SOS is in some trouble now. Jaedong just has so many bases. He's hit a unit composition that's working out. And look at this, SOS going up here, finding all of these spine crawlers, and he's going to lose the rest of his army.
Yeah, he's going to lose the rest of the army. And as Jaedong may be sensing right now, SOS is losing control of this game. Jaedong is pushing forward. He didn't let this landslide happen. It isn't looking like a 0-3 at the moment. It is looking like Jaedong can potentially win this next map.
And that is exactly what he needs, because as we said before, if you're down 0-3 in a best of 7, the odds of you coming back are pretty slim.
Oh, he's trying to get something done with that War Prism, adding a Robo, another Robo at the moment, getting Blink. I don't know that any of this is really going to help out, though, because we could see a gigantic switch into Broodlords at any moment.
Yeah, look at the amount of money that Jaedong has banked up once again. Very similar to game number 1. He has a lot of options.
You know, this game is really a testament to how good Jaedong is, because despite still not knowing about this 3rd base in the upper left, he still has managed to just pound away at SOS and keep his options limited.
You know, this has to be a shocking wake-up call for SOS, who took the first 2 games in such glorious fashion, to come in here, hide his base, it never gets found, and Jaedong is crushing him.
And 7 Broodlords are on the way now. What really anti-air do we have left? Let me just go over the composition. 13 Zealots, don't shoot up. 2-3 Immortals, don't shoot up. And he's only got a couple of Storms, Tasteless. He doesn't have anything.
These Broodlords are going to come in here like the Langoliers and eat through the remainder of SOS's base.
Archons on the way. Those aren't going to help. He's never going to get there because we have a lot of Fungals with these Broodlords.
And Jaedong has built an army which may not be answered for here. With 7 Stalkers, emergency anti-airs coming in, but with the Fungal coming down on the Stalkers, they're not going to go anywhere.
He's continuing to move forward right now. SOS just trying to hang on in any possible way. The Broodlord still positioned so well. The Stalkers now pushing up. Can SOS hang on?
The Storm Flank really did help out quite a bit, but SOS is not even making anything at the moment, and 28 meters on the way.
Jaedong wants to end this with his trademark move that he has made throughout the World Championship Series, the Flying V, the flock of Mutalisks. 37 Mutalisks!
And he'd be making 16 more if he wasn't maxed out.
Yeah, these mutants are going to come in here, and that is just, you can't stop this now. From all corners of the Zergon section of the map, the mutants are going to fly in, and Protoss has already been knocked back into the Stone Age at this point in time. I mean, you can't get an answer to this.
Watch this, Tasteless, as these Mutalisks enter the base. SOS is going to go, oh no! He's got nothing to do with it!
Jaedong.
Some passionate Jaedong fans out there in the audience right now, Otto says, as he does get 1 in his favor.
All right, well, let's see what they're thinking about at the expert desk here. Marcus, what's going on?
Well, a great final is what we got going on here at BlizzCon. SoS coming out of the gate, just throwing a massive, quick 1-2. Jaedong then, and of course after the cannon rushes, Jaedong decides sticking to my game, and that's definitely what I want to start with here on the expert desk. Sean?
I mean, it's so easy to get really get into your own head, to really psych yourself out, to say, oh, I've lost to the sort of, you know, easy newbie to lose ways. Cannon Rush, hidden expansions, Void Rays. It's so easy to convince yourself that your strategy isn't going to work properly. And there's no Protoss out there who plays anything remotely close to SOS. Game 1 had to be the biggest confidence-shattering moment out there. I mean, having shut down the 4th base again and again and again and again and again and again, and then just getting rolled with this army with plenty of money to do the Mutalisk transition. And weirdly, he just didn't have the larva. But that last game, if Jaedong has any opportunity to open up the replay and see that he bested SOS, who had a free, uncontested base, that's going to be a big surge of confidence.
Yeah, that was...
Well, sticking to game plan, as you said, I mean, it's incredible how these guys are just living out what got them here, right? SOS, with that unconventional play in game number 2, just constantly all over Jaedong. Every move he made looked idiotic because of what SOS was doing. Game number 1, Jaedong had a big lead. SOS shows he's not a one-trick pony, claws back into it through great army control and the right composition. Game number 3, Jaedong is like, well, I got cannon rush twice, so I should probably go triple hatch before pool. and it was exactly the right call, because that was the game that SOS was like, well, surely I've cannon rushed him into submission. He will play 15 pool now. No, Jaedong is going to take those risks and take that advantage for himself. A beautiful series so far.
All right, let's go over to Rotterdam, who you know, has been behind SOS the whole time. Say, gosh, Jaedong's playing sick, and SOS came out, and I'm guessing those first 2 games is one of the reasons why you're like, this guy's, why he's my pick.
I agree with everything that Sean and Jeff just said. I thought game number 1 was really crazy because I felt nothing was going SOS's way. There were like 4 hatcheries that survived with 100 HP. Normally you would just lose it and you'd be like so fed up. Somehow, some way, he sticks around and eventually turns around and wins, which you would normally say that's like the craziest momentum you can ever have going for yourself, because nothing went his way from start to finish. Even like he dropped the Stargates, was ready for the Mutas, and Ultras came, just absolutely nothing. Somehow he wins the game. Game number 2, I think Jaedong made a big mistake not taking out those cannons, which, you know, on the first game he did take out that pylon on the high ground, which was so important, because that if SOS wanted to do the same thing in game 1 as he did in game 2, he couldn't do it anymore. He had to wipe in on the low ground, was just not going to work. And then game 3, you can write a book about that game. Absolutely fantastic play. I would say by both sides though, like SOS, as Jeff said as well, if you cannon rush someone twice, there's no way that someone is ever going to go double hatch before pool. Jaedong just shows us what a beautiful and great champion he is. Perhaps later this day, I don't know. It's just such a fantastic series already. I'm really loving it.
Todd, another resident Protoss expert here on the expert desk.
It is for Protoss.
We do have quite a few of those guys up here. But you know, what are your thoughts on how SOS has performed so far, and even the 3rd game?
I think these two, they have a very good match. Every time they play each other, they play memorable games. Thinking back on DreamHack Bucharest, they already faced each other. It was a 2-1 in SOS's favor, and there was a lot of those games that all of them were pretty epic. There was some base trade, a lot of mutual transitions, and that time it really felt like SOS was just doing better overall than Jaedong. But in this series, it's really been going. I mean, the games have been very even up until some point where somebody starts really messing up, and then somebody takes a lead and never lets go of it. In that last game, it was just crazy the way Jaedong played this. He took a lot of bases. SOS took some huge risk. I have to wonder, was he goofing around taking this top left-hand side base, or did he really think it was good?
$100,000 on the line, man. His ball is so clenched.
You're up 2-0, the game's going pretty well for you.
Yeah. Well, what I think was the biggest difference between game 1, 2, and 3 is that game 1 and 2, SOS really dictated the pace of the game by saying like, hey, I'm going to drop these cannons. Even in the first game, it wasn't super successful. He still throws Jaedong up, completely changes the game, how Jaedong would normally want to play it. And, you know, all the normal timings of now I have to check for pylons, probes, that everything like that doesn't count anymore. That's just gone.
I think like SOS, he was okay with the way the game was going up until when the Muta sniped the Twilight Council and then the Temporal Archive. Yeah. He never restarted charge later on, which he really needed, because he was going for a lot of Zealots. And he went for the double fleet beacon, which, I mean, when you do that, it means you're definitely out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time we've ever seen SOS really get flustered in the entire series. He's looked on point with like every strategy he's dished out.
So the players are nearly ready. They're about ready to go. Before we go over, we were talking a little bit about what's interesting about how these guys have placed and who they got here. Do you want to break that down a little bit, Sean?
I mean, both players have taken down 3 WCS champions on their road here. I mean, Jaedong first takes down MVP 3-0, the Europe Season 1 champion. Then we have him next round taking... oh my gosh, this is a great time blank. Yes, thank you, Deer. Managed to take down Deer, who was Season 3 grand final in Korea, and of course a Season 3 champion. Then he takes down Maru, Korea champion. Same story for SOS, all the way up. I mean, Hero, and then Polt, and then Bomber. All of them champions.
An amazing story in the making.
And neither of these players have a championship yet. And in fact, neither player before this series, as we said before, had a single win in a final series. And I know so many people on Twitter, so many people here were just crushed that Jaedong might be 0-3 after that third game. But now Jaedong can tell himself, I'm not going to be doing another 0-4 in the finals. And I think that if there's one player who can come back, it's Jaedong.
All right, guys, well, the players are ready. The next map is going to be Polar Night. And let's send it on over to our casters to resume the series.
Well, guys, it looks like we are about to go into game number 4 here. The map is going to be Polar Night. If you're just now joining us, right now Jaedong's down by 1 game. SOS has 2 wins, Jaedong 1. So it could even out here. We were talking earlier, thank God for Jaedong's sake that he didn't go down 0-3, because statistically that's almost impossible in a best of 7 to turn around. I mean, we almost never see that.
I think Sulky is really actually the only player that ever did that. So it's good that he won that 2-1. That's a fine result so far. He can fight back, I think.
Well, let's talk about this next map that we're going to be going into. It's Polar Night, and throughout all of the finals this weekend, it is the #1 vetoed map by Protoss players. Talk us through that.
Well, Polar Night, man, that main base, 360 degrees of drops coming in there, or mutas, or what have you. It's a gross map for Protoss. You do not want to end up playing here. This could be very, very rough.
All right, let's ask the question again. Is he going to do anything like a cannon rush again? Are we going to see anything weird like that? Whirlwind, that map's so big and out there. I get the hidden expo strat. I'm 99% sure we won't have a hidden expo strat, but the 2 cannon rush strats seem to work so well, and Jaedong actually seemed to have a fairly hard time with it. Is there a chance of something like that again?
I would say yes. There is definitely a chance of another cannon rush. He probably wants to end it early in some way or another. I would like to see it. I
think it is yes in this series, but no for this map.
All right, we're going to find out soon. Let's get loud in here. Game number 4 is loading up. SOS, our Protoss, against Jaedong, our Zerg. And actually, we're going to have to restart the game here. So we'll have to try that again one more time, guys. Sit tight.
SOS found that funny too.
Yeah. So anyways, once we get the game reloaded up, we'll put this up here. Anyways, SOS, as far as I can tell, is not going to play a normal game here. Three games in, he has not done anything orthodox. He's not been your textbook Protoss.
You know, I feel like Jaedong in this series as well, I want to point out, I don't think he's going to go pool first at all unless it's a Zergling rush. I feel like he has decided that these cannon rushes will not stop him. It's a series of mind games, and I feel like he's either going to go hatch first or a very aggressive opener.
And it would be so risky for SOS to continue to cannon rush every single game, because if he does, and Jaedong didn't do it, he would fall behind in the early part of the game, and he doesn't really want that at such a high level. Second place, $45,000. First place is $100,000.
And money is pretty cool, man. I mean, that's a lot on the line. And I mean, on that, the notoriety too. I mean, just to be made the player of the year,
the world champion of the year.
Well, yeah, that's what Jaedong's looking for. He's looking for the win. You could give him a check worth 0, and he's still going to be exactly as happy.
Okay, let's try this again. As this game loads up here, SOS up against Jaedong in game number 4 as we get closer and closer to crowning the best player in the world out of these 2. Over here in the north, with completely innovative, revolutionary play. He is SoS. And down here in the south, from the streets of Brood War, he is Jaedong.
Mean streets those were, Tasteless, but he ruled them.
Indeed. So, as we've already mentioned, this map is really weird due to the shape of the main. You have access from air all throughout the main. I mean, it's a really open spot. It's not like Akalon, for instance, where you're tucked into a little nook and you can turtle and defend.
It's also got that crazy natural where you can get behind it and shoot up if you have any vision.
Lots of airspace for those Mutalisks, which we know Jaedong loves to come in and do a lot of damage as the game goes on.
So we see as SoS is opened up with a gateway in the main. This still, of course, can be a fast expand build. And Jaedong is now going to head his drone over here to his natural and make a hatchery.
That's right, no fear out of Jaedong. He's going for that hatchery first, and I do think it's going to be just about every game. And you know what? Hatchery first, really nice against a gateway expansion.
I mean, if we look at Jaedong's history this year in tournaments he's played, every single time that he played against Naniwa, for example, earlier on in DreamHacks and other WCS tournaments, it was always hatchery first. Naniwa physically had to go double gateway rush against it.
He's doing something crazy again. He's got the pylon going down here. It looks like he wants to freak out Jaedong due to the past.
Mind games.
Hashtag mind games here. And then he cancels. Now that's drones that are not mining for a certain period of time. But Jaedong didn't overreact.
No, he only pulled a third drone down and then turned it around when he realized, oh, okay, this guy is pulling my chain. So that was a nice mind game by SoS, but Jaedong caught on to it very quickly.
I have literally never seen in like a finals like this somebody who's so brainy in their play. I mean, everything SoS does is disguised so well. I can't imagine how difficult it is for Jaedong to read him.
Artosis, you've had the opportunity to commentate week in, week out SoS this year. He's from the Korea region. You guys commentate the Korea region. What are some of the tendencies that you see from gateway expansions as we're seeing from SoS now that he usually does?
You know what? I would not be surprised at all if we saw him throw up a Stargate. I feel like that's where his strength really does lie. You give this guy a couple Void Rays and a Twilight Council, and he's going to make some magic.
I got to agree with you there, Artosis. I think the Stargate is definitely the way to go here. He's really good at using active units like Phoenixes, for instance.
What is that?
What?
It's called a robotics facility.
Oh my God, a robotics facility. What does that make?
Immortals.
Immortals?
Oh. They live forever.
Well, maybe not in this game against Jaedong. Now, you know where is he going to take us here? These games are so hard for us to predict at this point in time because SoS has been playing so weird. The positioning of the robo, by the way, tucked into a corner, not out at the entrance, right? I don't know how much more we can glean from that. He is walling in with the gateways. Is he going to do some kind of a weird timing? Is it even something as simple as I just want to get an observer out really fast? I mean,
this is Immortal Zealot. He only has one gas. That is exactly what we are about to see. This is a build that was like really good in the Korean metagame for about a day and a half earlier this year. And a Warp Prism? What is this?
Well, Jaedong, with his Overlord, has spotted the lack of that single gas on the left-hand side.
Let's see if he sees the Warp Prism here.
He sees the lack of gas.
Oh my God.
Which way does he turn?
Well,
is he turning at all?
He's not turning at all. He's
turning. He's going to exactly curve around this robo. He's going to draw an outline of a robotics facility. And yeah, he never saw.
So
well, that doesn't.
Well, he sees it now with the wings.
Well, with the Warp Prism being built first over the Immortal, even though some of you may say, well, he's not building the Immortals as fast as possible to rush them out here. But what this does offer, imagine if this Warp Prism really pushes Jaedong to make a lot of units. That also slows him down because he's not building drones at this point. He needs a higher economy to deal with an Immortal attack.
Now he's making a bunch of gates off of this, and this doesn't seem like a super committed robo attack. And this is going right into what we've seen SoS SoS doing all night tonight? Is just the mind games, faking them out, psyching them out.
Well, he's making those roaches be produced. And in fact, we do have some drones coming up from Jaedong, so he's not overmaking at the moment. But this attack, when it comes, guys, it's going to be so scary. A lot of Zealots, a lot of Immortals, still no second gas.
Do you think Jaedong's identified what's going on yet? He's seen a lack of that, second gas inside the main base. He's joining quite heavily. He sees a War Prism flying around.
I think he thinks that SoS had to have changed what he was going to do because it's been scouted, but SoS, always deep in those mind games, is just continuing forward with this crazy all-in.
And he's going to push out now and see if he can't press for some damage.
Well, he's moving forward. The Warp Prism, warping in a couple more Zealots. Jaedong is building units. He's not too high up with his drone count, currently 54, and he's building 10 roaches. Are they going to be enough here? Remember, with no sentries, he's not going to really be able to hold these units back from rushing in.
That is a lot of roaches, but yeah, with that many Zealots, I mean, you can't kite all day against this, and look at that, a beautiful Time Warp does go down. The Immortals moving forward, trying to hit the roaches. A second Time Warp goes down.
He's continuing to just press for more and more damage. The roaches now up against the ropes. The Zealots here just dishing out so much. He can continue to warp in. These Immortals are so well positioned, by the way.
Just an amazing attack thus far. More and more roaches just piling out. But these two Immortals killing them off. GG! And that brings us to 3-1 for SoS.
Wow, SoS is changing, not just the way we see Protoss, but the way we see StarCraft 2. We've seen a lot of players who are mechanical. We've seen a lot of players who are just good at little battles and engagements, okay? We see a lot of people who are good at just playing conservatively. This guy is inside your head. These are actually games that are, I think you guys can agree with this, pretty difficult to cast because I can't read what SoS is going to do until he pulls it out.
He's so unpredictable, and that's who he is. He changes it up from game to game to game. If he was using the same style inside out, Jaedong would know what to do. He'd be cutting the right corners, he would be prepared at all times. That's what's going wrong here.
And here's something to keep in mind. SoS only has to trick Jaedong one more time.
Well, Jaedong needs to win 3 in a row at this point.
And think about this. Has SoS actually tricked Jaedong in every single game? Actually, yes. Jaedong never found that expansion in the upper left. So this is a pretty tense moment. I can only imagine what this conversation is like going on in Jaedong's booth as to how he needs to play this if he wants to be a champion.
Well, you know what? The next map is going to be Frost, and I think that this is a good map for Jaedong. I feel like, it's so big that if you can get into that late game, it's going to be quite hard for SoS to win.
Is this a map now where SoS, as you keep on asking, can say, cannon rush time? Is this where he does it when he's 3 games to 1 with just one single map from being the 2013 world champion?
Let's talk about that for a second, because there's an interesting theme that's going on here. He's primed Jaedong from the start with cannon rushes, right? And then he's followed the next 2 games up with proxy pylons or just something that alludes to another rush. I don't know if it's going to be a cannon rush again this game, but I could see him faking or trying to fake Jaedong out with another pylon. He might even want to go for just some really basic gateway timing attack at this point in time. Jaedong's mind is going to be spinning so fast trying to figure out what on earth is this crazy player doing. That might catch him off guard as well.
It is a 4-player map though, so a cannon rush isn't as easy to pull off. It is difficult.
Sure,
you need to scout twice. You probably need to send out double probes to find out where Jaedong is as soon as possible, otherwise it wouldn't be executed as fast.
It's not as easy, but can we all agree that Jaedong should be going hatchery first on this map?
Yeah.
It's either hatchery first or a Zergling rush, so going for a forge quickly is not that bad an option.
It is very true. We're very close now to starting in game number 5 here. And yep, it looks like the players are both ready here. Are you guys watching ready? So soon, only one player will be left. and there will be no way to dispute that he is the best player in the entire world. The game is now loading up. The map is Frost. And
this is it. This is match point for the rest of the match for Jaedong.
Yep.
I know everyone here wants to see him win, and he's got to start here on this map.
Head to head in cross spots here. Now over here in the upper left, in the red, changing the way we understand StarCraft. Give it up for SoS. The best Zerg from Brood War, here to be the best player in StarCraft 2. He is Jaedong.